We just did our second changeover. Proceed.
So I was talking about maturity and emotionality. I think one of the things that goes wrong in Western society is our hyperfixation on elements of our world that don't necessarily take into consideration the value behind emotionality. So, and I think it's a very Western belief to kind of detract and to take out emotion from certain experiences, and in some instances, it's warranted. You know, like if you're dealing with
Don't let
money,
it interfere with your logic.
if you're dealing with money, for example, and you're trying to make financial and monetary decisions, take emotion out of it. Like you would save money if that's your goal. You know, if you take emotion out of it and you look at, you know, just the facts, stick to the facts. I think that's a perfectly like applicable area.
I'm curious to see how you're going to tie this in.
where you can factor that in. But I think when people vouch for like talking about insensitivity to emotion, I think it's alienating aspects of who we are as emotional people. Like, I think we're still very emotional people, and I think that people who wander around, and I think, and you know, my ideas and my philosophy, my principles on this are still being refined. But we'll wait.
You just swung that pickaxe again.
What? Which one?
Yeah, fucking conversational gold mine.
There you go. My thoughts are still being refined on this, but I think it's so important, so important to integrate the emotions with the logic. You know, like instead of creating more of this, like, I guess, alienation or this addendum of ignoring or recognizing that most people don't really like care about your feelings, as true as that might be, I think it's still wrong. I think it's wrong that we live in a culture where most people don't care about your feelings. Not that I'm saying everybody should care about each other's feelings all the time, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I think that Americans are very emotional people. I think we live in a culture that's incredibly, incredibly emotional, and I think we're all petrified of being exploited by our emotions to a degree that it's limiting us as a people and as a culture from being able to advance past where we are now.
Dude.
I truly think that's the problem.
Okay.
Because Americans are some of the most fucking emotional people I've ever met on this earth. And I've met a lot of different kinds of people. And we hide. And everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. The French people see it especially because I've lived in France and I've talked to them. And they know, they know and they see how like crazy Americans can get. You know, how patriotic we can be. How much love and how much like passion we have behind our ideas, behind our cinema, behind our, you know,
and I've kind of learned how
to
diffuse negative emotions and kind of give somebody a quick 1-2, but just something to walk away and think about next time you're ready to be angry about something. I know how to quickly diffuse that and make it be like, well, what?
Yeah.
Why did I want to do that?
Right. But if we want to know, and this is from a perspective as a geographer, and I'd love to meet more people and hear their take on this, foreigners. If we want to know why we're not building still the tallest buildings in the world, and why we're not innovating our cities or our urban environments as much as we could be, as much as, you know, for example, like the United Arab Emirates are, or China, yeah, you could factor in the importance of like resource usage and availability, and, you know, like the geopolitical, you know, sort of puppeteering of like, you know, China has its geopolitical influence, like UAE has its geopolitical influence, and it brings money home, and it allows for bigger and better cities, for more improved population, you know, whatever. But if we want to know why the United States is sort of stagnant in terms of its economic and cultural growth, we have to look at what we're so fearful of. And I think that...
What is that?
I think that we're fearful of our own emotions.
Yeah, but how does emotion influence those things?
Because emotion is what we have to process in order for us to be like successful people. When you're building a business, you have got to, I think you've got to integrate emotion into the business. Sometimes there are times where you have to put it on the side table and you just have to go forward and move forward. But for a country that's been built.
I would
on-
disagree with that.
For a country that's been, you would?
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to answer your question.
Emotion is important.
I think
And as a country, we are
'cause
very
you're
repressive.
You're asking about the link between emotionality and like cultural success, or like
No. You actually tend to go into
because I'm trying to figure out.
geopolitical
Well, I think about
subjects.
it in my head a lot, like.
But I feel like you tried to tie that in.
'Cause eventually, I'm gonna make it work.
I'll make it work. Remove the geopolitics out of it. Yes, I'll agree that United States.
I just think Americans are down on themselves right now.
Yeah,
You know,
they're very afraid of emotion, and it's like,
But I think our enemy is us,
well, part of it's propaganda, right?
and the propaganda that I was gonna get into that too.
People feel like they need to present themselves as a completely, wholly rounded person, like completely well put together. You got your shit together,
Yeah.
and people are ashamed to like either admit that they're unsure of themselves or their decisions, or they don't know exactly where they're going in life. So everybody's got their little plan.
You're exactly right.
When they bring it up in conversation, they're like, well, in 2 years, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
They have that because they feel like they need to have that. There's nothing wrong with being
Right.
uncertain.
Right.
It's just that we're
so fixated on that.
Yeah, we're conditioned to feel inferior if we are. And, like, people,
That's true.
some friends have told me in the past year, like, you've changed a lot. And I guess in some ways I have, but I've just been more communicative and more open to, like,
Definitely more open.
saying what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, right? I mean, it's kind of why I made a podcast. Because I've noticed a correlation, at least in the people I've met. So, like, U.S., between intelligence and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you have a theory on that? Because I'm trying to figure.
Not
I'm
exactly.
trying to.
I do know that the United States has more of a tendency to. I still think it goes back to our fear of our own emotions,
Yeah.
expressing ourselves. Like, we're not as welcoming as a people. I mean, we are to a certain degree,
I got it.
but amongst each other,
It is because we understand that we live in a repressive society,
so
and the
burden-
depression is, a strong emotion, right?
Mhm.
For the people that have these emotions and the ability to understand the world around them,
Mhm.
they can't fully communicate, right?
Right.
So, yes. Okay, I recorded, and that's going to sound so weird without the context of a pause being there.
That is weird. Yeah, that's gonna be weird. Oh well.
I was
We'll work
I was
with it.
like, so I think we're yes. That's what that's going to sound
Got
like.
it.
I can't wait to go back and
Fucking
listen
got
to it.
it.
But I made an episode the other night, and I didn't post it because I hadn't fully worked this out yet. So, the ability to express yourself is a use. Like Nelson Mandela had some quote. It was like, a good heart and a good mind are a great thing to have, or something. Not so, you know. It was a little bit
That was
wordier.
beautiful, Alex.
Yeah, but he said, but having basically a pen or platform to express your ideas and your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's something
this
special.
podcast.
And I think the reason that there is some sort of collective depression with intelligent people is that they haven't found a way to do that. And because they feel like they can't do
maybe.
that, because we're in a repressive society,
Yeah.
right? They're afraid to say what they're thinking
The
and feeling.
self-awareness, like,
Yeah.
is limiting in and of itself. Or it lends itself to understanding how it's limiting. I guess not necessarily limiting in and of itself.
Yeah. But other people actually do take comfort in solace in the sharing of these ideas and these emotions because they find familiarity in it because they may be thinking the same thing.
It's what memes have done.
How?
Tapped into, like, the mass unconscious, in a way. I mean, have you like, explored memes? Like, there's a meme for fucking everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, there's a meme for, you know, your dissatisfaction with, like, you know, your pharmaceutical usage. A meme for, like, hating your job.
Oh,
There's
you
a
mean,
meme
like-
for, like, shopping, like how much you hate.
finding universality in our understanding. of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And in a simple, fast and easy, like, humorous form of
Yeah,
communication.
in classic American form.
Right, exactly.
It's like,
Superficial.
I don't have a whole lot of
sometimes, like-
time here. You better
Speed this.
get to the point.
Yeah, that's one thing Americans need to do is relax. Fucking just chill the fuck out. Like, no wonder so many people want to smoke weed. I mean, this culture goes so fucking fast.
But okay, so I found this with
Culture goes
in
way
in
too fast.
becoming more open, right?
Yeah.
I'd earned like some respect for my ability to like deal with things and the fact that I actually am emotionally put together. Like
Yeah.
I'm not very threatened now.
That's
It's
good.
like I know I'm going to be fine.
Right.
But then after I had that, I became expressive and I had an audience that really was able to tap into what I was saying.
Mm.
God, this is getting so abstract.
No, it's okay. It doesn't matter.
I was able to communicate these thoughts and these feelings without any, like, backlash for it.
Right. Without having to feel ashamed or...
And people took comfort in that because they're like, yeah, they feel the same way.
Yeah.
They don't have to say it, but they take comfort in the fact that someone that they respect feels the same way.
Mm-hmm.
God, I sound so full of myself.
You don't?
I don't.
No.
I'm like, I
It's
have
not-
to objectively analyze, like, the credibility that I have. I have to be like, look, I'm a big deal. But
You're literally taking yourself out of yourself to explain how it's the opposite.
yeah.
I mean, you might have to, like, reinforce yourself at some point, but I mean,
No. Too good for that. I'm a fucking man, Anthony.
get out of here. No one.
Let's talk about ego.
Oh God. I have a problem with ego. I do not.
Okay.
My
So-
mom raised me to hate it, and my dad raised me to love it. So I have
Okay.
a problem.
Here's the thing. I found it to be important, right?
I think healthy ego is important.
You're
It's a cop out.
okay.
It's not a cop
But
out.
like we were saying earlier, like for what we talked about earlier, the duality in, you know,
In our
from
upbringings.
no
Oh.
amphetamine
Oh.
usage.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a problem for me romantically in a way that makes me, you know, just avoid that and not put that on somebody
Right.
or I have to introduce that situation because I'm going to feel guilt for that.
Mm-hmm.
So people do have a need for validation and fulfillment, and I think that's where, well, ego may be encompassing of that, but I think that's where that can kind of fill that void, because for some reason people do feel like like a drive or I guess it's the mating instinct, right?